Hi, I'm EXO. This video is going to be part of my Kickstarter series. You see, I've been involved in a lot. And for 10 good ones, there's always a bad one. So when you've done hundreds, that's dozens of bad ones. What prompted me to do this is I find myself telling these stories quite often in the Discord. Something comes up and I say, oh, that guy, and I tell a story. And there's a new one to add. You see, some of you may be familiar with a company called Cyan Worlds these days. They made Myst in Riven, and that's about it. Now, they did go to Kickstarter back during the heyday, and they did a game called Abduction, which I backed and have not played yet. I was waiting for a copy that worked really well in my VR, and then by the time that came along, I was busy. So when Firmament came around, I was excited. It was, another game in that vein that looked a little more Myst-like than Abduction did. You can see here that 18,420 backers came together and pledged $1.4 million to Cyan Worlds. This was not a small campaign. If you look to the rewards here, you'll see they kept it pretty simple. Some Kickstarters have like 2-3 dozen reward tiers. For $30 you got the game. You got a little digital game manual, a digital game copy, a digital game strategy guide, and of course access to the backer updates. For $50 you got your name in the credits and exclusive added content. Did they even... Oh, a DLC. A unique skin for your mechanical adjunct. Okay. For $70, you got the soundtrack, the art book, we're still completely digital here, though, right? For $120, which I believe is what I backed. Yeah, it is. It says, if you want a physical box, you've come to the only place to get it. You'll get an exclusive Firmament Special 90s Vintage Boxed Edition, created in partnership with Fangamer. The box will contain a DVD for Windows, along with a few other exclusive printed goodies that will not be available after the campaign. And of course, you get all the digital crap. If you jump up to $250, it was you got a beta build of it. You got a T-shirt. You got a little badge. You got a little plushie and all the same stuff. A plushie, a badge, and a T-shirt. $130 seems like a lot for those things, but there's folks that will buy anything. And then there's the crazy levels. There was the Scientist, which is an honorary title. You got a limited run print that was signed by Randy. He was the guy who played the old man in Myst, the father, I believe. You get some kind of replica of an artifact from the game. You get lots of early builds, some behind-the-scenes insight. I'm always curious if the people who bought these things, 100 people apparently signed up for that. That's a lot of their money. That's $100,000 of their money came from these 100 people. I wonder if they lived up to those promises for all 100 of those people. 20 people signed up at the $5,000 tier. Another $100,000. That one, you got tickets for Mysterium, which anyone can go to. But you got to spend a day with the Cyan team as an honorary scientist. Tour the studio, get a look behind the scenes. It includes dinner, airfare, and 4 nights lodging. So, there's a vacation in there for someone who's a really big Myst fan. Cool. Not going to begrudge anyone for that. Now, we look at the campaign itself. They did a great job putting this together. They were not newbies to Kickstarter. They had already done Abduction, like I mentioned before. They got some nice animated GIFs here. They got their, some idea of what the story is going to be. A teaser trailer. We got something about the game design, showing it's going to be mechanical. I think that was a big part of it, because I don't believe Abduction had a lot of mechanical puzzles, which was kind of a hallmark of Myst and Riven. So I think it got a little dinged for that by some of the Myst fanatics. And so this was their chance to do a new and unique game, but with some of those hallmarks, right? Of course, the music, you got to have a big score. That's probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite things about Myst, is the amazing score and the sound effects in that game. And then, of course, we got to show it's all in all the different tiers and, of course, stretch goals. You know, we got to get the game. But their goals were based on things like sharing stuff. It was like, you know, Instagram, Twitter, da da da. And I forget. There was some kind of like. I thought that they had stretch goals, like they added something, but I doesn't look like they haven't mentioned here. But we're gonna go over here and go to the updates, and let's see. May. First things first. Many have asked about this, and now we can finally confirm. Firmament is Steam Deck verified. That's great. Let's keep on going. Oh, here I was. So we're gonna get an email. They're gonna give you your download codes. Once you redeem it, you get your digital copy. What about physical rewards? Okay, so notice this is buried 3 headings deep on this update. Now, I was not aware of this update. If we go back here, the campaign itself is from, oh boy, we got to go all the way back. Let's do it real quick here. All the way back. My guess is 2016, this is when the campaign was done. Let's see if I was close. I might be wrong. It was, oh, we're in 2019. Was it later than that? The project launched in 2019. Okay, so this project's only 4 years old. Good turnaround time for Kickstarter. It's not one of these space adventures that took 12 freaking years to get done, right? But we're going to come back here to that May 11th, 2023 update. And on the third heading, it says, we're still some months away from delivering it. Considering it didn't happen until February of 2024, I'd say yes, that was still some months away. In the last 20 years, the video game industry has moved toward an almost exclusively digital game delivery format. For this reason, Firmament's big box will include a bunch of physical treats, but it will not include a physical game on CD or DVD. So their reasoning is because the game industry has moved toward an almost exclusively digital game delivery format. Now, they go on to talk about how important DRM free is and how you're going to download it from GOG, good old games once you get it. And they move on. Comments. You can see some new comments. Bad show, guys. You know, hey, I kind of wanted that. And you know, 8 months ago, very tacky. Here we go. The promised reward was for a physical copy of the game. Why don't you live up to it? The reason I backed at a level to get a physical reward was specifically so I would have a physical copy of the game. The description for my tier says the box will contain a DVD for Windows. This states outright there would be a physical copy of the game included. Now, what I don't understand is if you look at the reward for that physical reward level, it also includes a digital copy of the game. So if you buy the physical version, you get, here's the box. So you got the vintage box with game and goodies. So with game, and if you look here, it does say DVD. You also get the game digitally. So this quantity of 1 got bumped to quantity of 2. So you got your Good Old Games digital code last May. And then you get another digital code in the box. Because you know every one of your GOG games is lonely by itself. So now you can download 2 copies and put them next to each other on your hard drive and they can be friends. Alright, so why don't we take a look at the actual box itself. I'm sitting with it right here. First thing I'll say is it is nice and solid, really good heavy cardstock, which is great to see considering so many games that come from Kickstarter feel like they're made out of folder cardboard. They're crap. Now, I will say, not designed to look like a retail. There's no system specs on it. Pretty plain front. That's okay. It's a design choice. You know, plain top, sides, bottom. The back, you've got an approximation of what the back of a game box would have looked like. A couple screenshots, some, you know, a blurb about it. If I was to critique it, I would say they should have made this UV spot UV. It makes like a high gloss around it. If you look at like the Dungeon Keeper box, you've got like a matte color, and then this is really shiny. It really helps it stand out. Granted, that would be if you had it on a retail shelf, which they're not doing, but you are selling to people who collect games, so maybe try to get it in that wheelhouse. I always try to make my games that I release, my boxes, look like something that would be on the shelf next to a commercially released title. We can look on the back here. You know, it really hammers home that there's a mystery going on, a riddle, an enigma. When we pop into the box here, the first thing I find is a die-cut sticker of the logo. Here we have a sticker that says, "Keepers together, our answers will provide." Okay. Maybe that makes more sense after you play the game, but "keepers together" is odd phrasing. We've got a postcard here. It's something in the game. Don't know what that is yet. Another postcard of some kind of tunnel. Another postcard. Probably the best art I've seen so far in the game. Looks interesting. We've got, another sticker. "Maintain the firmament. Keep." Now, clearly they're going for some kind of like 1950s propaganda style here, like BioShock did. But they're failing, because this graphic design kind of sucks. Maintain the firmament. Keep. Putting the word "keep" in big bold letters is not propaganda style. You got to have a little bit more going on here. Putting "keepers together." There's not anything here selling it to me. There's no Art Deco going on. And you got to have Art Deco in your design if you're going to be doing that. Now, here's the little card that came with it. Underneath my finger is the code to redeem it on Good Old Games. I have not redeemed my copy yet, and I may very well never. Because right now it's a testament to getting screwed over by Cyan Worlds. There is a folded up game poster. Now, who wants these? Who wants the folded up game poster? They don't look good. If you liked what was on it, you're going to be mad that it's folded. In this case, it says, "We answer, we know, we keep." This is horrible. It's 6 words on a big piece of paper. This isn't even a poster. Who would hang this up? It would have been better if they made a poster out of the logo. At least that's a freaking logo. If I saw this hanging in someone's house, I would think they were a conspiracy theorist or some shit. A letter. Is it an apology from them for screwing me over? No. They they printed marks on it to make it look worn. Little like, "Dear valued benefactor." It's gibberish. I've looked at it once before. It's mumbo jumbo. Supporters of the Firmament Initiative, we recognize you and have gratitude. Blah, blah, blah. Your magnanimity is not merely a gift, but a legacy. Stand tall and proud, esteemed patron, for your commitment fuels the heart of our initiative, and your benevolence illuminates the path forward. With profound appreciation. The Founders. Yeah, whatever. You put a piece of paper in an envelope in my box that I paid for. I don't appreciate that. Have you noticed a theme so far with what we've been pulling out? It's all paper goods. Nothing in there so far is worth what was paid for this. There's one less thing in the box. You might think this will be worth it. It's a notebook. Hardback notebook. Got a little, books, you can keep your place, right? So what's in here? Well, we've got the Firmament logo on the front there. We've got a little Cyan logo on the back. The first good piece of art, and they hid it inside the book. This actually looks like maybe art, that BioShock propaganda style we talked about before. And over here you have a little poem that's not written very well. We measure, test, and strive to understand. We care for our world, our comrades, and our kind. We are united with purpose and resolve. We have all that is required and no needs to find. Who wrote this? Sounds like a high schooler. What is in the rest of this mysterious book? Nothing. they either severely overestimate how many notes I plan on taking with their game, or they think that I actually needed a giant empty book. Now remember, the pledge said game and goodies. This is a goodie? A notebook? Let's play a game called The Price is Right. How much does it cost to get this made? So, we did the math earlier. I did the math earlier, approximately 3,000 backers that wanted a physical box. Let's say we round up to 4,000 copies. Because, well, screw it, let's just say 3,000. They didn't make any extra, because nobody that worked at Cyan wanted a copy. So they made 3,000 boxes. Okay, now they probably did not. They probably made more, which would drive the price down. But let's play a game called How Much Does It Cost to Make 3,000 Hardback Notebooks. Two printed pages on the inside, the rest are all repeated blanks. Monocolor, gold logo, elastic band. Let's be generous and say it takes $5 to get this made. Okay? Now the box it's sitting in, it's hard shell. It's got a little piece to hold the book in place. That's a few cents. This box, we get 3,000 of them made. This kind of cardstock, 4-color print, no gloss, no spot UV. You got the clamshell style, like the top and bottom. $3 a box, max. I was just pricing boxes today. That's being generous. So we're at $8 right now. Envelope and letter inside, including the time and the cost of printing the letter, 30 cents total. Stickers. 2 rectangular, 1 die cut. Where's that die cut sticker? There it is. Approximately 20 cents each. That's rounding. These are probably closer to 10 cents each. These are probably closer to 30 cents. Just because it was die cut. Some places don't even charge you for die cut. But these are like paper stickers. Super thin. They tear if you put them on something and you try to take them off. My stickers are 1/4 each, and they're vinyl. They come off things when you put them on and off. You can actually pull it, and all the adhesive comes off with it. The stickers that I put in the Exodus boxes. I print boxes, and I print these kind of things. I print manuals and catalogs. I know how much this all costs. What do we decide? 10 cents each? 20 cents each? Let's say 20 cents. So 20 cents, 20 cents, 20 cents. We're at 60 plus, you know what? Let's add 40 cents for that letter instead of 30. We're at $1 now on that kind of stuff. So $1 for all those things. We said $8 for the box and the book. I'm being generous here, folks. We're at $9 right now. This poster, 1/4. Let's say 50 cents. We're at $8.50. 3 postcards, 10 cents each. $8.80. The card that has the code for Good Old Games on it, 10 cents. We're at $9. This box cost about, and I'm rounding up, in bulk, because I work in small numbers, man. I'm doing like 100 prints. I'm doing 200 prints. 3,000 prints, things drop dramatically. If you can get a box printed for $3 at 500 copies, and when you go to 1,000, that same box would be like $2. $2.20. So I'm being really generous when I say this is a $9 box. Okay. Now, if you remember, this box, this physical edition, it did not cost $9. And granted, they have the right to make some money, but they, under the rewards over here, charged $120 for this box. Now, the tier below it's $70, and that's all digital stuff. So you could argue that because I got the digital things, I paid $50 more for this box. So they made a $41 profit on me, minimum, and never even gave me the game that I asked for. But the truth of the matter is, I would not have purchased this box. Not for if I knew what was going to be in it and no game, no way I would have bought this box. So then I have to ask, would I have bought the game by itself? Maybe. For argument's sake, we'll say yes, but the reality is, depending on how I felt that day, I know this game's going to I know it's going to fund. It's Cyan, I know that, and I know it's going to come out. I know it's going to go on sale pretty quick. Abduction went cheap really fast. So did Mist VR for that matter. So I could have just waited and bought it on sale. I'm not going to lose out on anything by being patient in this case. So the reality is I paid $90 more than I would have for the game because I wanted a physical copy of the game. I did not get a physical copy of the game. I got this, a $9 box of crap. So they made $81 more than they would have made off me because I thought I was buying a physical copy of the game, and I was really buying a notebook and a bunch of stickers and a postcard and a crappy poster and another copy of the game code on a piece of paper. That game code is not worth $30, by the way. It's not. Unless, if one of you wants to buy that game code from me for $30, let me know. Hit me up. I would love to make some money back on this box. Okay? The fact is, other companies like Bethesda have pulled crap like this in the past. Like when they had their collector's edition of Fallout 76 that was going to come with a canvas bag. And they decided the canvas bag was going to cost too much. So they downgraded it to a vinyl bag. And there was an outcry. And then their support line did not handle it well. And before you knew it, eventually they seceded. Is that right? Seceded? You could say that the people who bought it succeeded. Anyway, they gave up. And they said, okay, fine. Here's your canvas bag. Shut up and leave us alone. This isn't even a case of they put a lower quality version in there. They just didn't put it in. They just took the idea of a physical game and said, no, the game industry moved along. They don't want that anymore. The whole industry. Nobody does physical anymore. They'd be really surprised if they walked into a store that sold games these days because there's a lot of physical games there. I am not a box collector. Okay? I'm not a sticker collector. I'm not a poster collector. I'm not a notebook collector. I'm not a good old games code collector. I'm not a postcard collector. I am a game collector. So this doesn't do me any good. It's not a game. I buy games because I like to own them. Because there is a day that good old games will no longer exist. I wouldn't be working on Exodus for the past, what are we, am I in 17 years now? I think I'm on 17 years now. I say 15 so much I forget that time keeps going. So I say 15 for years and I realize it's not 15 years anymore. It's 17 years now. Probably almost 18 actually. Anyway. Yeah, it is. It's 18. Crap. I haven't been working on preserving games for 18 years. To not understand that these things go away. And to have physical copies is the only way to preserve them. When I buy a copy of a game, it's so that I can know I have a copy of that data and I own it. Now, I could download it, burn it to a disk, but I try to support the creators. You may not believe it, but I'm not a big pirate. I own a good portion of the commercial games that are in Exodus. And for the thousands and thousands of dollars that I've spent collecting them, very little of that money ever went to the developers or the publishers. It goes to people on eBay that are overcharging me for used games nonstop. So I'm buying the right to have that game by buying a disc that was printed 30 years ago. But I'm not buying that game from the publisher or the developer. I'm buying it from some clown who's been sitting on it for 2 decades or longer. That's fine, though. I like to own it. I like to know that it's safe. I like to make a good copy of it. In this case, I bought a game on good faith from a company I trusted, and they failed me. They decided not to follow through. They decided that the games industry moved on, and therefore the collectors did too. Me and everyone, the other 1,800 backers, 2,000 backers, 3,000 backers that wanted a box, all collectively got together and said, you know what? We've moved on. We're digital now. Thanks. We're good. They made the decision for us. They didn't ask us. They didn't give an option. They didn't offer a refund. They didn't offer a replacement. They just said, take your digital code, suck it down, move along. They've gone radio silent too. Anytime someone talks about it on the Kickstarter, nope. Ignored outright. One person was replied to and they said, we explained this back in our March 13th update. No, you didn't explain anything. You said, we're not going to include it. You didn't explain why. Your closest explanation why is because the games industry moved on. That's not a reason. That's an assumption. And it's still not an out. It's not a good excuse. I'm frustrated that a company that I trusted betrayed that trust. I'm frustrated that I spent a lot of money on a bunch of crap. A bunch of paper crap, to be specific. There is more quality goods in my $50 copy of Exodus 5 than there is in this whole box. At least you get an enamel pin you can wear in my box. You get a catalog that's fun to read. There's nothing to read in here. You get a manual that's fun to read. There's nothing to read in here. You get a sticker that you can pull off of things that doesn't tear. Those tear. Hell, if you bought version 5, you got something signed by me thanking you that was also a joke because it was a registration card from Daventry. And with my version 6 box, you get a challenge coin. A big physical metal coin that's sandblasted, antiqued. Cool logos, designs all over it. It's well made. There is nothing in this box as well made as the coin that I'm going to put in Exodus 6. And yet they're charging 120 bucks for it? Wait till you see my box. 50, 60 bucks tops for my box. And guess what? My project, it's free. I don't charge for it because I don't own those games. But all my work I did to make that project, that's free. I don't charge anyone for the work I put into it. That's me trying to do something for the community, for myself, for the people who enjoy it. Look, I don't begrudge Cyan for trying to make a buck. I do begrudge them for telling me they're going to give me a physical copy of the game for $120. I gave them that money. I then paid for shipping on top of that. Didn't include it. And I paid tax on top of that. And what do I have to show for it? A good old games code so I can keep my other copy, my other digital copy, nice and warm and cozy at night. Maybe they can make little GOG babies when I'm not around because both copies are whatever. My pet peeve is liars, and Kickstarter's full of them. So this series is the beginning of a dive into some of the liars I've come across. I'm sure there's plenty more. But just a few to name. American McGee. I hate that guy. You'll know why when I do mine on him. He's a plagiarist. He's thin-skinned. He's a gaslighter. Oh, I got a lot to say about him. Steve Blackthorn Alexander. I've already mentioned him before. People don't like to talk about those who are sick. And he's sick. He's dealing with medical issues, but it's not an excuse for being a cowardly piece of crap that lies to people constantly and then plays the victim card right behind it every single time. I've already recorded that video. That's an hour long. Space Venture. Most of you probably know about that one already, but it never gets old to talk about. Leisure Suit Larry Reloaded. There's one that's fun to talk about. Paul Tro, the living Leisure Suit Larry. And he's just as pervy and creepy and disgusting as Larry probably would be if he was real. You know, Larry would be more lovable. Larry would be someone that you could at least have a laugh with or laugh at. There's nothing funny about Paul. He's disgusting. Neil Stephenson, renowned sci-fi author, started a Kickstarter called Clang. Sword fighting, as real as it was ever going to get. Even had Gabe Newell in the intro video. Didn't turn out very well. There's more. I mean, there's the Chris Roberts one. I didn't back that one, luckily. I hear about it all the time, though. There's, I'm sure, plenty of others, too, that as I go through my archives, I will remember. Oh, Peter Molyneux, how could I forget him in Goddess? There's a scam. So I will continue filming these videos here and there, sharing my stories. If nothing else, for the people that show up in my Discord and ask, what's that story you told that one time? Well, I can send them over here and save myself all the typing I would have to do over and over and over by telling these rants. I hope you enjoyed the video. If not, you feel free to skip the Kickstarter videos. Stick to the ones about the projects, about the games. I do deep dives. I talk about the projects and all the features. I talk about I talk about stories growing up around this stuff. I talk about all kinds of other things on my channel. These Kickstarter videos are just something that I happen to have a lot of experience with, unfortunately, because of I prolifically backed Kickstarters when they took off. You know, it was something I was interested in, and unfortunately, that put me in a position to deal with a lot of people that took advantage of the trust that those who had backed them, gave them. Thank you for listening. See you next time.